Hey everyone, welcome back to TechBit Academy. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Welcome to today's explainer. You know, we rely on incredibly complex digital systems every single day, but validating that software actually works when you literally can't see the code, the underlying brain of the whole operation, well, it presents a really unique engineering challenge. So today, we're unpacking exactly how developers pull this off, ensuring reliability from the outside in. To get us started, think about this incredibly common, highly frustrating scenario. Have you ever been locked out of an online account or maybe your banking app after entering the wrong password just one too many times? Yeah, we've all been there. It's incredibly annoying in the moment, a real friction point. But that lockout, it isn't a glitch, and it's definitely not some generic error. It is actually a meticulously structured testing scenario designed to balance strict security with everyday usability. And it's exactly the kind of hidden mechanism we're going to decode today. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Inside the black box. So, in the world of software engineering, black box testing is a very intentional testing parameter. Under this framework, the internal mechanics, the source code, the development paths, the whole back-end architecture, they are deliberately completely hidden from the QA tester. It's basically a locked mystery box. Instead of looking at how elegant the algorithms are, the tester's job is to figure out how the system behaves strictly from the outside. They're flying totally blind to how the software is built behind the scenes. And this isn't an accident. It's a strategic constraint meant to strip away any developer bias and focus 100% on what the application actually does. Because those internal gears and levers are totally invisible, the tester operates a lot like a digital detective. Their entire approach relies heavily on mapping out huge lists of potential inputs just to observe exactly what outputs are generated. It's simple cause and effect. If I feed this specific data into the system, what exactly does it hand back to me? By deliberately throwing unexpected variables, rapid-fire commands, or just weird, conflicting data at the interface, they can catch severe logic flaws that the original developers might have completely missed while staring at lines of source code. So the crucial point is that this method is uniquely driven by the user's perspective, operating without any knowledge of the internal code. Because it's purely input and output driven, it perfectly mimics how real humans, or even malicious hackers, actually interact with the software. And that's why this approach is so incredibly versatile. It scales across every single level of development. QA teams use it for basic unit testing of individual features, integration testing to see how those features play nicely together, and user acceptance testing right before launch. It's also absolutely critical for security. Think about penetration testing. Hackers don't usually start with your source code, right? They approach your system as a black box, probing the inputs to force an output that reveals a vulnerability. Section 2, Shifting System States. Now we're getting into a highly specialized tool within this framework, state transition testing. This evaluates software behavior across different input conditions given in a highly specific sequence. It's super useful when an application shifts from one state of being to an entirely different state following particular user actions. For example, think of an online shopping cart. Its initial state is empty. When you add a pair of shoes, it transitions to a filled state. When you hit pay, it transitions to a checked out state. The software's rules completely change depending on which of those states it currently occupies. To keep track of all these shifting realities, testers map the entire process out using what's called a state transition diagram. Think of it as a treasure map for our digital detective. It visually plots out the different states as nodes and the exact pathways between them as directional lines. It meticulously tracks the software's journey step by step, guaranteeing that every possible sequence of inputs has a corresponding, validated state change. Basically, making sure there are absolutely no logical dead ends in the software's flow. Let's move to, and see how this builds in Section 3, example, the ATM PIN. All right, let's look at a concrete, real-world scenario. Picture yourself standing at an ATM. You insert your debit card. The machine is currently resting in what we call a start state, just waiting for your next move. Step 2, you input your PIN. As soon as you hit that final number and press enter, you trigger a crucial moment. The machine must rapidly process your input and make a definitive decision. It has to transition to a new state. And the tension of that moment is that the next state depends entirely on the accuracy of the sequence you just typed in. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this logic flows. If we're in state 1, the start state, and the action is entering the correct PIN, the next state is access granted. Boom. Perfect. But look at the sequence if things go wrong. If you enter the wrong PIN the first time, you transition back to a retry state. Enter it wrong a second time, you loop back to retry again. In programming, this looping mechanism is highly controlled. The system is actively counting these cycles. If you trigger that loop by entering the wrong PIN for a third time, the software transitions to an entirely new restrictive condition. State 3, account locked. The QA tester maps and validates this exact sequential loop without ever seeing a single line of backend code. Section 4. Example, the login lockout. This brings us to a super relatable everyday application, the standard online login. A very common parameter in web security is the number 5. A lot of systems will allow exactly 5 failed login attempts before initiating a major state change. But why 5? Well, it represents a really carefully calculated balance between security and user experience. Developers have to prevent automated bots from launching brute force attacks, where they just rapidly guess thousands of passwords a second. But they also need to account for normal human error, like, having your caps lock on by mistake or just fat-fingering a typo on your tiny smartphone keyboard. 5 attempts gives us humans enough grace to correct our mistake while completely shutting down the bot. But here's where the tester steps in to validate that logic. Their job is to ask, what happens at the 6th login attempt? This specific question is a classic example of boundary testing. Testers intentionally push the system to the absolute edge of its parameters. They'll purposefully fail the login 5 times in a row, dwelling right on the edge of that allowance, and then they execute that critical 6th attempt. They do this to verify that the state transition rules actually kick in, forcing the account into a locked state precisely as the security architecture requires. Section 5. The user perspective. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the true heart of black box testing, and its biggest advantage, is that it forces a strict focus on the user perspective, actual functionality, and real-world usability. By totally ignoring the code, the tester is forced to experience the software exactly as you and I do. It serves as a vital reality check. It ensures that the software actually performs in the hands of real humans out in the wild, not just in the isolated, perfectly controlled environment of the programmers who built it. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. If the invisible back-end architecture is beautifully written and technically flawless, but the resulting output completely frustrates the user, behaves unpredictably, or fails to lock a compromised account when it really should, does the software truly work? Black box testing argues that functionality is ultimately defined by the user's experience of the output. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of software validation. I really hope this gives you a whole new appreciation for the digital tools you interact with every single day.